Y'all come here and box me up real quick, probably clip me, then go home.
As a business, I understand. I ain't gonna hate on the decision, but as a man
Your
and
pride
as
will
a
get in the way.
fighter with my integrity.
Jake Paul is training with Shakur Stevenson before his upcoming fight with Gervonta Davis. To prepare for Tank's power and skill, Jake chose Stevenson to help improve his speed and defense. After 5 years as a pro boxer, Jake feels this experience will give him the edge he needs. Confident and focused, he aims to shock the boxing world by knocking out Gervonta Davis and proving he belongs among the top fighters in the sport.
Prepare for, like you said, a guy who is shorter than you. How do you find a sparring opponent to replicate something that obviously, there's nobody else out there that's Tank Davis? How do you prepare for a guy that's different stature-wise?
Yeah, no, we have world champions. Raymond Ford in the 130-pound weight class. We got Montana Lovin. Shakur Stevenson is coming in this week. So
Wow.
just sparring against guys on their level and people who have, been doing this their whole entire lives. But we're really focusing on speed, and not as much on power. I'm not doing as much like weightlifting and all of that stuff. I'm actually trying to like lose some muscle so that I have less weight. And so
Jake Paul has made huge progress since moving from social media to boxing. He already has several official wins that show his discipline and hard work. Despite constant criticism, Jake keeps training with full dedication and plans to silence his doubters. His fight against Gervonta Davis is his biggest challenge yet, and he wants to prove once again how much his skill, power, and determination have grown since his boxing debut.
World and even shock myself and show myself what I'm capable of.
When you picture how it goes down, is there something that you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself knocking him out? Do you imagine being victorious? And what would that mean for you? A guy, again, who has only been in this sport for a couple of years. You've turned it on its head. You've had a massive impact, clearly, in just a few years, but it's only been a few years. That's the bottom line.
No, exactly. This is my 5th year as a pro. And so I've had to progress faster than anyone else in the sport to be able to compete at this level and to be able to hang in there with these guys. But I do believe that I have the power and the offense to be able to walk Tank into a knockout like I've done with other opponents and set them up for it. And so I am fully confident in my ability, and I think it would be one of the craziest upsets in a long time.
Yeah, one of the craziest upsets ever, probably in many people's eyes. Well, I think I saw Cardi B just put a $250,000 bet down. It was a parlay, I believe, on Aspen all over Cyril Gahn. But then for Tank to beat you, have you seen that? And what do you think about Cardi B potentially placing a $250,000 bet here?
I didn't know.
I just saw.
Jake Paul recently brought Shakur Stevenson into his training camp, showing how serious his preparation has become. According to Jake, Stevenson personally offered to join the camp, making the move even more genuine. To prepare for Gervonta Davis's speed and left-handed stance, Jake has surrounded himself with skilled southpaw sparring partners. This helps him adjust to Tank's movement and countering style. Jake's focus is now on discipline, footwork, and conditioning instead of just power. Having Stevenson, a top technical boxer, adds experience and polish to Jake's training, proving he's aiming for elite-level competition.
We got some great guys coming in. Some really experienced southpaws that are smaller. I think Montana Love is coming in. Shakur Stevenson wants to come in. Jermaine Ortiz. We're gonna hit up Erickson Lubin, some of these guys. So we're just gonna bring in a plethora of fighters that are.
Even with all the debates about celebrity boxing, the sport's traditional appeal still remains strong. Fans continue to watch big fights not just for excitement, but for the pride and respect that boxing represents. The Jake Paul vs. Gervonta Davis matchup has sparked major discussion worldwide. Brian Mendoza said opportunities like this show how boxing is evolving. When someone brings attention and money to the sport, it makes sense to let them compete. He explained that boxing is also a business where fame creates opportunity, and both fighters have earned that. The fight keeps the sport active and popular in today's fast-paced media world.
And it's crazy, but people getting paid off of it.
Yeah.
So if he can call any one of y'all out and y'all can get that payday, I say go get it, baby. I'm not mad at it.
For me, and I'm not mad at this move at all for Tank Davis, but I think when it comes to boxing fans, there's an essence that comes with this sport, and it's an essence that hasn't been lost, unlike other sports. For an example, with football, we come from the hitting days.
Yeah.
Can't hit nowadays. You know what I mean? So boxing hasn't lost its essence. You know, they're trying to make it safer and all those sorts of things. But there's still this pureness to boxing that really doesn't exist in sports anymore. But it's still there with boxing. I think that's why people have such a problem with this kind of move from Tank Davis.
Is it more the heart? How do you guys feel being boxers?
Man, like once you hear the numbers, I'm like they're talking like I don't know the official one. They're talking about like 100 mil.
Oh damn.
Like, they're talking about these insane numbers. Like I'm gonna be like, don't take that. I'm not gonna tell another man not to take that type of check, especially for something like that. It's not on your official record. It's an exhibition. I'm not gonna lie here and act like I'm not gonna say yes to 100 million or something like that. But I do see exactly what you're saying about the essence of boxing. I wish they would kind of separate it a little more because exhibitions have always been a thing. There's always been an argument.
Right.
But they're just selling it like a real fight almost.
Right.
So I think that maybe if we could create a better like distinction, more of a difference,
Right.
there might be less hate on it. But at the end of the day, man, I'm not going to tell Tank not to take that fight.
And I said this last year. I said create a influencer title. And let those guys fight over there in the influencer world. They can live the world and the life.
The partnership between Jake Paul and Shakur Stevenson surprised many fans. Stevenson, known for his calm and professional attitude, rarely trains with crossover boxers. But this teamwork shows a unique mix of modern and traditional boxing styles. It may seem odd, but both gain from it. Jake learns technical skills from one of the best tacticians, while Stevenson reaches a younger online audience. Their sessions have been described as intense and focused, showing how even unusual collaborations can create valuable results. It also bridges the gap between entertainment and real boxing, proving how the sport is adapting to modern audiences.
Stevenson reached out to Jake Paul in support of him preparing for Gervonta Davis. Help me understand what is the difference between Boots Ennis reaching out to Canelo Alvarez in support of his preparation for Terrence Crawford versus Shakur Stevenson reaching out to Jake Paul in preparation for his fight with Gervonta Davis. Tell me what is the difference. I'll tell you what the difference is. The Ennis family actually had a relationship with Canelo Alvarez. Shakur Stevenson has no relationship with Jake Paul. None. We heard, oh, Boots is a sparring partner. How much you got paid for that? So now, isn't that also applicable to Shakur Stevenson? Is he not also a sellout? I don't want to hear anything about this fight. It's against a YouTuber, it doesn't matter. No, Shakur Stevenson is an elite level fighter that is going to be a sparring partner to a YouTuber, and he reached out to him directly?
Since Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis was announced, Shakur Stevenson has openly shared his views. Many thought his involvement meant he was supporting Jake, but Stevenson explained it differently. He sees the fight from two sides, business and sport. From a business view, he understands that it will attract huge attention and money. But from a pure boxing view, he admits it doesn't fit traditional competition. Still, he stayed neutral, saying he respects both sides. His balanced take shows maturity and an understanding of boxing's changing landscape.
Because this is prize fighting, right? It's about making money and securing your family. Can you fault him for that?
It's two sides of that. Like,
okay.
It just depends. Like, as a fighter, just because I had a draw with somebody, for me, I may run it back. But in a business aspect, if you run it back and you lose to Lamont, and then the Jake Paul fight is presented, you may not make as much money, or the fight may not be as lucrative as it was before you lost. So as a business, I understand. I ain't going to hate on the decision, but as a man
your
and
pride
as
will
a
get in the way.
Fighter with my integrity.
Yeah, but isn't there a price for everything, Shakur? Like, even if you had a draw with somebody and you were offered 10 times more than you ever, I don't know what the number is, but it's a lot more than he's ever made. You think you might consider doing the same thing, right?
I would, but you got to also realize, I know that it's not going nowhere. Like,
right.
The fight ain't going to go nowhere. Like, say, because if I really believe in myself,
right,
and I wholeheartedly think, like, if we fight again, I'm going to win this fight.
That fight still be there around the corner.
After I beat this motherfucker, where you at?
Yeah.
The fight still there. It's not going to go nowhere, but if I have a 50-50 thought process
like a doubt.
to where it's like,
right.
yeah, I got doubt in my brain, I may be like, all right, fuck it.
Also,
Let's
in his
cash
case,
out.
case, it might be that he's tired of fighting anyway. He's leaning towards retiring
Yeah, let's
anyway.
cash out.
So he's just gonna get that.
Boxing experts are divided over the Jake Paul versus Gervonta Davis event. Traditional fans think it's more entertainment than real boxing and could take attention away from serious fights. But analysts also admit these events bring in new fans and money. The irony is that even critics profit from the hype. Broadcasters, promoters, and rival fighters all gain from the attention. This shows how boxing now operates as part of the entertainment industry. The sport no longer depends only on competition, but also on personality, drama, and storytelling to attract audiences.
For sure, it's a lot of people that switch over now. Everybody's like, oh, I've been telling y'all, Shakur. I know y'all have not. Y'all all been quiet.
They on the bandwagon now.
Do you actually, we talked to Virgil Ortiz, right? He told us that he be screenshotting a lot of the hate on Instagram to remember to maybe one day comment on their posts. Do you remember certain comments or posts that bother you?
I remember it, but like I'm not gonna screenshot it. What I do, I kind of like if I see something, I be ready to argue it or go back and forth, but I get up and run.
But I'm
like,
talking
fuck
about
I'm gonna
get
go
up and run.
Run 3 miles.
It motivates you.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I'm talking
sure.
about like somebody that you know in the boxing industry that you respected, that you kind of was disappointed, like, damn. Like
Everybody, except for the people that's like right there with me, like the Bud Crawford. He's somebody who kind of stayed with me throughout everything. And I think he's one of the realest people in the sport of boxing. But everybody, I feel like everybody just said,
like commentators, people that host shows.
Man, people around me started moving different.
Like
everybody,
like friends?
Everybody.
Really?
Everybody.
So you had to cut some people off?
Yeah. Yes. I cut people off.
People you thought were friends?
Yes.
When you say moving different, what do you mean?
I ain't gonna like go into detail because I ain't gonna need to put everybody on the spot, but a lot of people start looking at me different. Social media make people think a certain image or certain things about you. Like people I walk into every day, like, bro, I know you. I've been around you for years. You know me. So if you know me, how you feel as though that you gonna go and look at me different or treat me different than what I already was. So
right.
Yeah.
Well, what did Turkey say after that win, like on a personal conversation? Did he say anything to you?
Nah, he just said, good job. We're going to get you on next.
Former UFC champion and commentator Daniel Cormier criticized the matchup, saying it's less meaningful than other possible fights for Gervonta Davis. Cormier believes Tank has already proven his greatness and doesn't need fights focused on hype. He feels Davis's legacy and financial success make this contest unnecessary. However, Cormier's opinion also highlights how some fighters from other sports view crossover boxing. Some see it as good exposure, while others believe it weakens the sport's standards. Still, his comments have added even more curiosity, drawing extra attention to the event.
Dean, that's bad. Because you know what that tells me? That tells me that even he recognizes that he's too big for him.
Yes.
He recognizes that he's too big for him.
I'm wondering how this even came about. It can't be that Gervonta Davis needs money. That can't be the reason why
he's been a world
taking
champion so recently. How could he be broke?
That's what I'm saying. Like, is he doing this for money? And then why and how is even Jake Paul doing this when no one respects it? Like, I can't think of anybody that respects this.
But Jake Paul has been able to carve out and make his own lane in boxing, and I've never seen anything like it, bro. He literally, I mean, we don't know what weight class he fights in any situation. We just don't know. He kind of makes his own rules.
He makes his own rules.
And it seems like people are playing by those rules. I remember a couple weeks ago, the WBC and the Jose Suleiman was very upset that he wasn't going to be able to put the belt on the winner at Canelo versus Crawford. That's the thing that's happened since the beginning of the time. Those guys are very powerful in boxing. But with Zuffa boxing, it was almost like that power was getting stripped away. They were very disappointed. But how can you take those sanctioning organizations seriously when they are sanctioning this?
That's my point. That's why I think that this whole thing that we have, this boxing and this MMA argument and Zuffa getting into boxing, our argument is misplaced because things like this should not be happening. And the fact that boxing is allowing this to happen is an embarrassment to the sport.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I talked about this before. Like, I didn't know why they were fighting because, I mean, Gervonta Davis's last fight was at...
Inside boxing circles, many believe that a fight between Shakur Stevenson and Gervonta Davis would be the true test of skill. Both are technically brilliant, mentally sharp, and experienced at the highest level. Their meeting would showcase real boxing talent, defense, timing, and strategy. Fans agree that while Jake Paul brings entertainment, a Stevenson versus Davis fight represents boxing at its purest. This balance between showmanship and skill shows the sport's depth and proves that genuine talent can still shine despite the rise of celebrity matches.
Belts. We have Tank to get a couple of the belts, and you have a undisputed fight for those two in Las Vegas, in America, between two American guys getting undisputed championship of the world. That would be a mega fight. And we're talking about two guys that you have the most dominant, persistent, powerful guy, pound for pound powerful guy, I should say, in Tank, who also is very good defensively. But then you're fighting the best defensive fighter in the entire world, in my opinion. That is a fight I would love to see happen. I would be a big fan of, but I think if we could let that kind of fester and develop for a little bit, and we get that fight, summertime next year, fall of next year, where this is an undisputed fight, I think that's the fight we would love to see have happen. I would be all for that. And I think it's realistic. Like I said, I don't think Tank's losing to anybody except for possibly Shakur, and I don't think Shakur's losing to anybody except for possibly Tank.
Former world champion Tim Bradley commented on Stevenson's career choices, saying Shakur doesn't need to chase a fight with Gervonta Davis unless it truly adds value to his record. Bradley pointed out that Stevenson already has titles and fame, so choosing fights wisely is key. His analysis shows how elite boxers plan carefully, balancing timing, legacy, and risk. He added that Stevenson should focus on staying dominant instead of seeking unnecessary rivalries, since his talent already speaks for itself. The rise of crossover boxing with stars like Jake Paul has brought a new audience to the sport. Purists may not like it, but it's helping boxing grow again. Millions of young fans are tuning in, which keeps the sport alive in the digital era. Jake Paul's presence isn't just about fame. It's part of boxing's adaptation to modern entertainment.
So on and so forth. So, with that being said, why even want to entertain a fight with Tank Davis? I mean, how much credit are you going to really get, Shakur, besides the money, right? That's what Tank brings. He brings interest. He brings a lot of fans in the seats, But as far as legacy goes, if people are holding Tank at a very low status, well, do you need him? Do you really need him? How you doing, man? Good morning. Do you really need him? Because I personally don't think that you need him, Shakur, you should be here to create your own legacy, You're about the competition. You are about that bread as well. And I think it's important for you to really look at the landscape, man, of boxing and see where your big money fights are, besides Tank Davis. As you know, you hear through the grapevine, I think he even told you on X that, he's contemplating retirement after his Jake Paul fight. You're getting ready, hopefully, if Teofimo Lopez signs the contract, Shakur, to be fighting Teofimo Lopez, who has accomplished quite a bit in the sport, man, and has been in the ring with some legends, Josh Taylor, also Lomachenko. I think that type of fight makes sense. Going up to 140.